Greetings on behalf of the Planning Accreditation Board, or PAB. This is the first of several modules provided either online or in person to help prepare you for your role as a member of a site visit team. As we go through this module, you may stop the presentation at any time and start back up again. This should help you if you get interrupted and need to pick up again where you left off. Throughout this presentation, we encourage you to write down questions that come to you. If your question is not answered or you are confused about something in this module, please contact a member of PAB's staff and they will get back to you shortly with an answer. In addition to these training modules, the PAB's website has several valuable manuals and additional resources for site visitors on it. Please read these manuals and review these resources prior to your first visit, as they will refresh your memory of some of this information and provide more detailed information than we can share in this training module. The reason you are viewing this presentation is because you have been recently named to the site visitor pool, or you have been in the pool but have not been on a site visit for a while. For you to become a new site visitor in the PAB pool, you have already completed several steps. First, you were nominated by either the American Institute of Certified Planners, AICP, if you are a practitioner, or by the Association of Collegiate Schools of Planning, ACSP, if you are an educator. PAB then approved your nomination. Now, once you complete the necessary training, including this module and others online and in person, you will be eligible to be placed on a site visit team. So, as a potential member of a site visit team, PAB wants to ensure that you have a basic understanding of accreditation in higher education in general. We also want to introduce you to the PAB process of accreditation review and your role in that process. This training module will provide you with a background on accreditation as an important practice in higher education in the United States. We will also introduce you to the Planning Accreditation Board and its process of program review. Next, we will discuss the various phases of the site visit itself and your role and participation in that process. We will discuss the contents of the site visit report prepared by the team after their visit to campus. Finally, we will discuss the expectations that are held for site visitors by the PAB, by the program being visited, and by the accreditation and higher education communities in general. On this slide, you will see 5 sections to this training module. If you cannot complete this module all at once, you can return to the PAB website and click on the section where you left off, and you can resume there. By the time you complete this module, it is important to us that you will have achieved 4 important learning outcomes. First, you will be able to summarize the purpose of accreditation in higher education in the United States and its expected effects on universities and colleges. You will also recognize the role that PAB plays in the larger accreditation system in the United States and how specialized accrediting bodies like PAB are critical in professional education. You will be able to describe the PAB site visit process and timeline, and identify and agree to your role and your responsibilities in that process. We will alert you to important timelines throughout the site visit process so you can appreciate the deadlines that are prescribed for you and your work. So let's begin with a brief overview of accreditation in higher education in the United States. In this section, we'll discuss the purpose of accreditation, the fact that accreditation is both a process that is undertaken at universities and colleges, and a status granted to colleges and universities if they meet certain expectations. We'll also discuss briefly the organizations involved in higher education accreditation at the university level and at the level of programs in specialized or professional fields like planning. While there are many purposes identified for accreditation, the 3 indicated here are the most relevant to your work as a site visitor. Once a university or program has been reviewed for accreditation and accreditation is granted, students, parents, legislators, practitioners, and the public are assured of a level of quality in the educational services provided to students. This includes curriculum content, quality of instruction, advising and student support, and effective campus and program administrative practices. In addition to ensuring that minimum standards for education and services are met, accreditation also serves as a way for universities and programs to continue to improve. These improvements could be in various facets of a program, from quality of instruction and course content to research and student services that contribute to field-specific knowledge, student successes, and/or important societal changes. Finally, at both the university and program level, accreditation can aid a student's entrance into the profession. By ensuring the coverage of key professional knowledge and skills, employers can be more confident that graduates of accredited programs will become effective practitioners in their field and be able to pass certification exams. You have probably heard the word accreditation used in different ways. You've heard of programs being in the midst of accreditation, as well as programs recently being granted accreditation. This is because the word accreditation describes both a process as well as a status granted at the end of the process. As a process, accreditation at the university and program level is characterized by three key features. First, it is a process of external third-party peer review. That means that individuals with no affiliation with the university or program, but who are knowledgeable about the field, are both conducting the on-site review and making accreditation decisions. Standards are defined by the accrediting body and are often revised based on changes in higher education, the particular field, or greater expectations by employers and the public. A university's or program's compliance with the standards will be assessed by the external review team, and the final determinations will be made by an independent organization. These organizations must have all the appropriate due process considerations for appeal, access to information, and to complaints. It is a highly detailed process of review and decision. Why? Because important outcomes are at stake, including assurances of educational quality to students, of readiness to employers, and of effective use of student, parent, and/or taxpayer dollars. Once a university completes the accreditation process successfully, it has the status of accredited, meaning that it meets expectations for student learning and educational services, among other factors. This status continues until one of the following happens. Either a significant change is proposed or occurs at the university level, such as financial emergencies or significant changes in the number of programs or student services offered, or a defined time period concludes. Then the accreditation review process begins again. For some specialized fields of knowledge, or for some professions like planning, there are accreditation processes that lead to the same sort of granting of status. For professional or specialized programs, being accredited signifies that the program meets expectations for student learning and educational activities that are necessary for effective practice and/or employment. These expectations are defined by that field's accreditation standards. As a site visitor, you will be conducting an independent third-party review against predetermined standards at a university that itself must have an accredited status as defined by one of the following regional accreditors. There are 5 university accreditors covering 5 different geographic regions of the U.S. These institutional or university accreditors are also reviewed and granted recognition as accreditors by either the Council on Higher Education Accreditation, pronounced CHIA, or the U.S. Department of Education, or both. Specialized or professional programs within these institutions, or in some cases as standalone colleges, are reviewed and granted accreditation status by a variety of professional accrediting bodies. You can see a sample of these specialized or professional accrediting bodies and their logos here. Notice the variety of fields of study and practice that are shown here: architecture, athletic training, public health, midwifery, public affairs, medical education, and planning. There are many more. These organizations are also reviewed and recognized by national bodies, either CHIA or the U.S. Department of Education, or both. PAB is CHIA recognized. If you are interested in learning more about accreditation, visit the website for CHIA at www.chea.org. In this section, we examine the Planning Accreditation Board and discuss its place in the accreditation world and its importance to the profession of urban and regional planning. PAB is a programmatic accreditor whose mission is to ensure a high-quality education for future urban planners. PAB accredits both master's and bachelor's degrees in North America. If you want to see which universities have accredited planning programs at this time, please visit the PAB website. PAB has 5 core values that are embodied in the work it does. Stewardship of the knowledge base of the profession with which the board has been entrusted. Collaboration, building and sustaining a bridge between the academic and practitioner communities. Communication, fostering awareness of urban planning education. Integrity, maintaining a commitment to fairness, transparency, and consistency. And leadership, maintaining currency with regard to accreditation practices and instructional innovation. PAB is an independent organization with its own staff and board of directors. PAB was established in 1984 and is maintained through a partnership between 3 organizations. The Association of Collegiate Schools of Planning, representing planning education programs. The American Institute of Certified Planners, representing professionals with credentials in planning practice. And the American Planning Association, representing practitioners, citizens, and elected officials associated with planning. As sponsoring organizations, APA, AICP, and ACSP support PAB by appointing members to our 8-person board, providing funds for operation, and recruiting and nominating experienced people such as yourself to the site visitor pool. Similar to most accreditation processes, PAB's process includes 4 important sequential steps. In Step 1, the program submits a self-study report. It is in this report where the program documents its compliance with the PAB standards and criteria. Programs submit written evidence for each criterion through text statements and supporting materials that include faculty CVs, course syllabi, their strategic plan, and many other specific items. Step 2 includes the site visit to the campus of the program. Site visit dates are arranged with the program a year in advance to ensure that the higher administration, provost, dean, etc., are available to meet with the team. Site visits occur either in the fall, September through November, or in what is called spring, January through March. The product of the site visit is the site visit report. This is the 3rd step of the accreditation process. The 4th and final step is the accreditation decision. The PAB meets twice a year, in the spring at the APA National Conference and in the fall at the ACSP National Conference. At these meetings, board members will review self-study materials submitted by the program, along with the report produced by the site visit team and other historical information to render its final accreditation decision. Accreditation decisions result in either accredited status or not accredited status. If accreditation is granted, there will also be a length of time for that accreditation, ranging from 7 years, which is the maximum length of time, down to 2 years, which is also described as probation. Let's begin by describing the site visit itself. This is where the proverbial rubber hits the road in program review. By the time the team gets to the campus, you will have gained a pretty good sense of what the program's strengths, challenges, and issues are through reading the program's self-study. Once on campus, you'll gather all kinds of additional information and evidence to validate that self-study report. You will have interviews with campus academic leaders, faculty, students, and many others. You will review student work to confirm the quality of that work and the extent to which the program is meeting its own defined student learning outcomes. Your team will have many discussions on site about the program. You will refine your preliminary assessments for the standards and develop your recommendations and suggestions for the program. It is a lot to cram in, but it is critical to the accreditation review process. Let's look at the composition of the site visit team. The site visit team is composed of 2 educators and 1 practitioner, drawn from their respective pools of site visitors. PAB staff assemble a team that represents the program in many ways. Team members are sought based on a variety of factors, including whether the university is public or private, whether it is located in an urban or rural setting, whether the student body is primarily full-time enrolled in the program or part-time enrolled while working, and whether the degree granted is a bachelor's or master's or both. Only one person will be new in his or her role on a site visit. For example, the first time you participate on a team, both the chair and the other team member will be experienced. For new team chairs, experienced team members will make out the rest of the team. Through our best efforts, we typically have 2 members of the team who are AICP certified. The site visit team chair plays a critical role during the site visit, as the person who runs the show when the team arrives. Specifically, the team chair often delegates duties among the members of the site visit team. For example, the practitioner may be charged with handling interviews and team discussions regarding the program's involvement with the local planning community and the relationship with the local APA chapter. Team chairs may ask one team member to lead some of the interviews and the other to take detailed notes. In all cases, this delegation of duties is the responsibility of the team chair and an expectation of team members. All team chairs have been on several site visits and have completed additional training. Generally speaking, the team's primary objective during the site visit is to assess the program's compliance with PAB accreditation standards. This is done primarily through interviews and direct observations during the site visit. The team verifies information in the self-study report and gains a broad and multidimensional view of the program. Based on all the information it gathers, the team assesses the degree to which the program meets the various standards and criteria for PAB accreditation. For each criterion, the team will make a met, partially met, or unmet determination. In addition to those assessments, the team will make recommendations for how the program might address out-of-compliance situations and provide suggestions that would move it towards excellence in some regard. In many ways, the site visit team functions as the ears and eyes of PAB on the ground. So let's discuss the activities that lead up to the site visit. PAB staff arranges site visit teams in the summer of each year. When contacted, it is very important that you tell PAB staff honestly and directly 2 important pieces of information. 1, do you have the time in your schedule to prepare for the visit? Travel to campus for the visit and be away from your regular daily activities and help after the visit in preparing the site visit report. If your workload is too heavy or you're unsure based on other professional commitments, please don't feel obligated to say yes. However, if you do say yes, you're making a commitment to PAB, your team members, and to the program that you'll be prepared, you'll be wholly engaged during the visit, and you'll continue to contribute after the visit until the report you're submitting is final. Second, you will be asked to disclose any potential or real conflicts of interest that you may have with the program. Some of the typical conflicts of interest include reviewing a program where you have already participated on a site visit, or reviewing a program housed in an institution where you received a degree and/or taught. Other potential conflicts of interest include serving with the program administrator on a previous site visit team, teaching currently at the institution at which the program administrator used to teach, serving as the head of a program visited by a site visit team chaired by the program administrator, and residing in the same region or competing within the same market as the program. It is critical that you disclose all potential conflicts to the PAB staff on the Conflict of Interest form. Prior to the visit, you will receive a copy of the program's self-study report. You must read the report prior to the visit and make preliminary assessments on the degree to which the program meets the standards and criteria. PAB staff will also arrange a conference call among the team members prior to the visit. During this call, you will discuss your preliminary assessment of the program's compliance with the criteria and standards based on the evidence provided in the self-study report. This discussion should help you focus on issues or concerns that you may have after reading the self-study report and determine any additional information the team would like to request in advance of the visit or during the visit. The site visit team chair will coordinate this request. During this conference call, the team may delineate any division of labor among the site visitors for work prior to the visit or during the site visit itself. Finally, prior to the site visit, you will complete your travel arrangements and provide this information to the program and PAB staff. The schedule for the site visit itself is fairly well prescribed in the site visit manual. This manual is extremely helpful in preparing you for the visit and the types of interactions and exchanges you will have with campus members while you are there. For example, about one half of the site visit manual is devoted to descriptions of who you will meet during the visit and why. While there is a certain amount of flexibility in the schedule, what is constant is that the team meets with the program administrator, the department chair if that is a separate person, the dean, and the chief academic officer for the university. These meetings take place at the beginning of the visit in that order and at the end of the visit in that order. The chief academic officer may be titled the provost or vice president of academic affairs. An introductory and exit meeting with the president, while highly desirable, is optional. Teams arrive on campus Sunday afternoon and meet for a working dinner. The program administrator interview is the first thing Monday morning. The schedule usually includes meetings and interviews with a mix of other groups on campus, including program faculty and students, as well as administrators of programs and other allied fields. Site visitors will also tour the program's facilities. The schedule includes time for a review of student work and interviews with off-campus groups, including employers, APA chapter representatives, and alumni. At the end of the site visit, the team holds exit meetings with the program administrator and/or department chair, dean, and provost. During these meetings, the team verbally shares its findings. Because most of the site visit is composed of interviews, PAB has developed a comprehensive interview book. This resource book is organized by who is being interviewed and by accreditation standard. It is extremely helpful in determining which questions to ask of whom and in what way. It's not intended that every person be asked every question because you don't have a month on campus. It is, however, a tool to assist you at getting at a potential topic or issue if you're uncertain how to ask something. Let's spend a little time now talking about the structure of the interviews and interview etiquette. First, it is important that all team members prepare a set of questions in advance of the visit. Some of these questions will be to verify information in the self-study report. Others will be questions that have emerged during your pre-site visit conference call. You will review these questions together in the initial team meeting, and you will also decide who will lead which interview and who will take notes. Typically, the team chair will begin the interviews with introductions and background information, indicating why the team is there and why the individual or group is being interviewed. The chair should also set ground rules for the interview, including the time frame for the interview, the need to stay on time, and the assurance of confidentiality of the information shared by the interviewee with the team. This is a good time to note that site visit team members are expected to maintain strict confidentiality regarding accreditation reviews. The entire site visit process, including information shared by interviewees, is confidential. Site visit teams may discuss the site visit with the PAB board and staff only. The underlying rule of thumb in any interview is to listen more than you talk. Other important considerations for site visitors during interviews are being positive in tone and attitude, unbiased about the program content and outcomes, and objective. Remember that these interviews are a means of verifying information that the program provided, as well as delving deeper into issues or concerns that the team may have identified. It is really important, and we stress this in the training of site team chairs, that the phrase, "what we do in my program is," be used as little as possible, ideally not at all. There are ways of making suggestions that don't include what could be construed as comparisons to other programs. Your experience at your home institution or where you got your degree should not be used as example recommendations to concerns the team may have about the program. The last activities during the site visit are exit interviews with the program administrator and senior administration. In these conversations, it is important to thank these individuals for their time and attention to the site visit. Exit interviews are done in hierarchical order, always beginning with the program administrator. She or he can answer any last-minute questions and is in a position to correct any misperceptions that the team may have that would impact its assessment of program's compliance with the standards. The program administrator also wants and should get the most detail from the team about issues, concerns, recommendations, and suggestions that the team has about the program. Generally speaking, the level of detail shared by the team decreases with the rank of the person with whom the team is meeting. It is important to remember that the team is sharing its recommendations to bring the program into compliance. It is ultimately up to the program to determine how to best address or resolve situations where compliance is less than fully met. It is also common that these administrators at a higher level at the university, the provost, and perhaps even the dean, are not as familiar with the program as he or she could be. The site visit team can be a champion for the program and for the planning profession when it is necessary and if it is warranted. It is always important to describe the program's strengths during all exit interviews. This ensures that the administrators are aware of the good things that the team observed about the program during its accreditation review. Team assessments are never shared in a specific way, such as there are 4 partially met and 1 unmet criteria. Instead, the team should talk about challenges the program faces and offer some suggestions regarding actions to address them. Last, while PAB will ask the site visit team to make a recommendation regarding the term of accreditation, that recommendation is for the PAB board only. Under no circumstances should this recommendation regarding the length of time for accreditation be shared with the program or university administration. It is always a good idea to script out your exit interview statements so that you can see how the level of detail decreases up the administrative ladder and the messages are consistent across all exit interviews. Take your time, be clear, and stay on message. Make sure you leave time at the end of your meetings for follow-up questions, comments, and other items of interest from the campus leaders. To review, your work during the site visit depends on each member of the site visit team working together. You will conduct interviews with various individuals and groups. Team members should agree who will lead the interview and who will take notes. You will tour the program's facilities and review student work. You will need to participate actively in team discussions and deliberations as you refine your preliminary assessment of the program's compliance with standards into your final assessments and recommendations for compliance. Your responsibilities and commitments to PAB do not end once you are done with the site visit. However, from this point forward, all communication will be with PAB staff only. Teams should no longer contact the program or respond to any comments or questions from the program. Upon arrival back home, team members must submit travel expense reimbursements. Doing this in a timely fashion is very important. Other important considerations after the visit include how long site visit materials should be kept by site visitors, which is only until the site visit report is final, and the need to maintain confidentiality of the content and findings of the visit forever. Remember, it is never appropriate to discuss the site visit, your opinions of the program, or any personnel or institutional issues with anyone other than the team members or the PAB staff or board. For example, your colleagues may ask you about your visit and the program. So when they do, you can simply say, "We had a good visit, but I can't provide any more detail." Once the site visit report is final, the team will receive an email message indicating that it is time to destroy all site visit related materials and notes. The biggest task after the visit is preparing the site visit report, or the SVR. Much of this work will be done electronically, with sections written by and shared among the team members. Once the team has completed its draft of the report, it is reviewed by PAB staff for format, consistency, and clarity. The team then revises the draft as needed. It is then sent to the program for review. The program provides comments about the draft report to the team for its consideration. A final version of the site visit report is then prepared by the team and submitted to the PAB staff. This report will then become part of the board's deliberations. Also part of the board's deliberations will be a recommendation from the site visit team for the length of time for accreditation of the program. This confidential recommendation goes only to the PAB staff and board and is never shared with the program. These next two slides provide a recap of the site visit process and a general timeline of the pre- and post-visit activities. You will have a detailed itinerary for your on-campus site visit activities. About 8 weeks before the visit is scheduled, PAB will provide each team member with a copy of the self-study report, the prior site visit report, any progress or interim reports that the program may have had to complete since the last visit, and any correspondence between PAB and the program since the last visit. In addition, you will also receive the site visit report template and the site visit manual. If you would like a printed, hard copy of the self-study report, one will be sent to you directly from the program. Please remember that the self-study report is a multi-volume report that involves a significant amount of printing and shipping costs. We ask that you do not request the hard copy unless you really need one. Please note that the program must have a hard copy of all volumes of the self-study report available to the team during the visit to campus. You will make your own travel arrangements to the campus for the visit. These arrangements can be made at any time, but no later than 6 weeks before the site visit. This is generally considered the time to get the lowest airfare. Site visitors should use a low-cost coach option. PAB will not reimburse for any upgrades. The program ultimately pays for your travel expenses, so it is important to keep your travel costs low. In addition, PAB is fiscally conservative, so low-cost visits are critical to our mission. You will then send a copy of your travel arrangements to PAB and the program as soon as you have made them. If you are including any personal time, contact PAB prior to booking the flight. Only those costs directly related to the site visit will be reimbursed. The preliminary site visit schedule is due to the site visit team chair 4 weeks prior to the visit, after the initial PAB staff review of it. The chair provides comments and asks for additional meetings, if needed, at that time. The final schedule is emailed to the full team 2 weeks in advance of the visit. During this same time frame, PAB staff will be contacting you to schedule an initial team conference call. No later than 2 weeks before the visit, the 3 team members and, if requested, a PAB staff member will participate in an hour-long conference call. Many times, this call is the first time that team members have met each other, so beginning to establish rapport, teamwork, and coordination among the team members is critical to the effective functioning of the team. The timeline for activities after the site visit is pictured here. Draft site visit reports are due to the PAB office within 2 weeks of the site visit. The program is then allowed 2 weeks after they receive the draft report to provide comments. Their comments cover any errors, omissions, misconceptions, and misinterpretations. The team reviews the program's comments and revises the site visit report as necessary. This is now the final site visit report. Travel reimbursement requests must also be submitted to the PAB staff within 2 weeks of the site visit. Expenses are itemized on a form provided by PAB staff, and receipts are submitted along with the form. It is PAB policy not to pay expenses submitted after 90 days of the date of the site visit, except under highly unusual circumstances. Once the site visit report is final, the team will be asked to provide its recommendation for accreditation to the PAB board. This recommendation and other findings contained in the site visit report will be discussed by the site visit team chair with the board at either the spring or fall PAB board meeting. 1 year after the visit, the team will receive an email message indicating that it is time to destroy all site visit related materials and notes. So let's discuss the site visit report, the written account of the team's assessment of the program's compliance with standards and opportunities for improvement. This report is the critical third phase in the PAB accreditation process and is an important part of the board's deliberations about the accreditation of the program. Therefore, the report needs to be clear, direct, and provide sufficient justification for your assessments of standards and criteria and the rationale for your recommendations and suggestions. The site visit report includes 5 parts. First is the compliance checklist. This checklist provides a tabular summary of the standard review and discussion that follows in the site visit report. As you can see on this sample checklist, the accreditation standards are listed down the left-hand column, and the team's assessment is included in the right-hand columns under the headings of Met, Partially Met, or Unmet. Just after the checklist is the Program Overview and Progress section. This section provides a summary description of the program and statements about the progress the program has made regarding partially or unmet criteria from the prior site visit. The third part is the team's assessment and recommendations for the PAB standards and criteria. The first section includes all of the MET criteria, including a brief description about how the program meets each criterion. If the team's assessment of a criterion is partially met or unmet, the report should go into greater detail explaining why the team found an out-of-compliance situation. The focus of the assessment should be on the evidence of compliance the team found or found lacking in the self-study report and during the site visit. The fourth part of the site visit report is a summary of the program's strengths in a narrative format. The report ends with some suggestions regarding excellence. These are suggestions that go beyond the accreditation standards, and they tend to focus on far-reaching ideas that could move the program beyond minimum accreditation standards and improve the program beyond compliance. As we said earlier, a good site visit report is critical to the accreditation review and the board's decision. It also needs to be written for a very broad audience, as the program may share it with administrators, advisory committees, and other stakeholders who are not familiar with the self-study report and all of its contents. It is critical that the site visit team members provide sufficient detail regarding compliance because the board, in its determination, needs to account for variance among the teams. It is also important to avoid a couple of common mistakes in site visit reports. First, try not to use individual names, but rather refer to roles and responsibilities. For example, you should use the phrase program administrator rather than his or her name. Use the phrase a faculty member rather than naming Professor Smith specifically. This keeps the review about the program, not individuals or their specific contributions or liabilities to the program. You will also be asked to provide recommendations for partially met and unmet criteria. These are intended to be recommendations as to how a program might creatively resolve problematic situations. Make sure you are not prescriptive by saying the program should do X, then it will meet the criterion. Also, making recommendations beyond the control of the program is neither useful nor helpful. This slide indicates one of the most common errors in a site visit report. The first example provides no justification for why, specifically, the criterion was met. The second statement is greatly improved. It provides greater detail and points to items that the team viewed as important in its judgment of this criterion. Specifically, coursework, lecture series, and funding for students to attend conferences were all important evidence that the team used in finding this criterion met. This is the type of detail that the board needs, and the information that is useful to other readers to see how the program accomplishes its work. So, in summary, PAB has great expectations of its site visitors. We end this training module by listing these expectations and pointing you to additional resources to help you meet the expectations. Prior to the site visit, PAB expects you to understand the accreditation process and agree to policies, procedures, and timelines contained in the PAB Site Visit Manual and other materials. To do your job effectively in the short length of time on campus, PAB also expects you to prepare, and prepare some more. That means reading the self-study report and previous site visit report. Determine your initial assessment of the criteria. Be prepared to discuss them on the pre-visit conference call, and develop questions to be asked during the visit to learn more about the compliance issues you identified. Make sure your assessment of the criteria are fair and based on evidence that can be cited. When you find criteria that are not fully met, provide useful recommendations and suggestions to help the program improve. Slide 37, Expectations of Site Visitors. Your team members also have expectations of you. You are expected to provide input into the team's deliberations and efforts during the visit and contribute to writing and reviewing the draft site visit report and any revisions made for the final report. The program and the PAB both require confidentiality from you during and after the visit. The final expectation listed here is the one that we all have for you, that you learn from your site visit. You learn about planning education, about effective ways for students to learn, and about how different programs accomplish different aspects of planning education. This learning and exposure to other programs are just some of the benefits you receive from being on a site visit team. We are confident that you will discover even more benefits. To help you prepare for your visit, we hope you review additional materials developed by PAB to assist you. These resources include the Site Visit Manual and the Site Visit Interview Book. Even if you have read these before, please skim through them again as the content is continually improved and refreshing your memory is important prior to the beginning of the visit. And finally, we want you to know that the PAB staff is also a great resource before, during, and after the site visit. So on behalf of the PAB staff and board members, we want to thank you for agreeing to serve on a site visit team. We also hope this brief overview of the accreditation purpose and process has helped you understand your role in the process of planning program review in the context of accreditation in higher education. We invite you now to return to the PAB website to complete this training by taking a short quiz about the information in this presentation. You will receive your score on this quiz, and PAB staff will record your results. Thank you once again.